A group of college friends were on a road trip through the thick forested area in the Pacific Northwest. The dense trees loomed over the narrow, winding road, casting long shadows under the fading sunlight. The group was laughing and reminiscing about their college experiences, but they were also really enjoying the isolation and freedom of the open road. They had been driving for a while without seeing another car when their headlights illuminated something strange. There was a person, and they were standing at the edge of their eyesight in the road. It was a man, barefoot, dressed in an old-fashioned suit that looked decades out of place. His pale face turned towards them, and his sunken eyes seemed to have a gleam in the reflection of the headlights. The friends debated stopping. Although he wasn't flagging them down or showing them any signs of distress, the sight of him gave everybody an uneasy feeling. Ultimately, curiosity won out, and they pulled over, feet ahead of him. "Are you okay?" one of them called out to him through the window. The man stepped forward slowly, his movements slightly stiff and mechanical. When he spoke, his voice was hollow, almost echoing. "I need a ride," he said. Every instinct screamed at them to drive away, but leaving him here alone just felt wrong. After a tense pause, they opened the back door to let him in. The man didn't offer much conversation, just vague mentions of needing to get back and where something had ended. He clutched a small book in his hands, refusing to let it go. As they drove on, the mood in the car shifted. The air grew heavier, and a sense of dread seeped into the group. The man sat silently, staring straight ahead, his presence unsettling, yet impossible to ignore. One of the friends, a guy named Jake, tried to lighten the mood. "So, where are you headed?" he asked with a forced cheerfulness. The man turned his head slowly, his eyes locking onto Jake's. "Back where it ended," he said, his voice chillingly calm. The friends exchanged nervous glances, but said nothing to each other. The forest felt darker, even though it was still 7 p.m. The road was becoming more winding, and the man's presence became increasingly oppressive in their minds. Suddenly, the GPS they had been following closed out by itself. They tried to reopen it, but it wouldn't work. It just kept closing out. They were now driving blind through the dense woods. After what felt like an eternity, they approached a clearing. In the middle of these dark, desolate woods stood a church. The man spoke for the first time in miles. "This is the place," he said, his tone filled with finality. Without waiting for a response, he opened the car door and stepped out. The friends watched as he walked towards the church, his figure disappearing into the shadows of the structure. "Should we follow him?" one of them asked. But the group collectively decided against it. Most of them wanted to leave and put as much distance between themselves and that place as possible. They couldn't just leave him though, so they all got out to find him. The area around the church was eerily silent. They could not even hear the sound of animals, crickets, or anything. They all went towards the church and went in. The church looked like it had been abandoned for some time. Everything was still there, but it was covered in dust and spiderwebs. It's like the people that used to attend this church left in a hurry and never looked back. They looked around, but they never found the man. When they left the church, it was suddenly pitch black outside. They had only been in there for a few minutes, but now the moon was high in the sky. They all walked in haste to get to the car to get out of there. As they turned the car around, the headlights briefly illuminated the church's broken stained glass windows. In the flicker of light, they all saw the same thing. A crowd of pale faces pressed against the glass, watching them intently. Terrified, they sped away, not stopping until they reached the next town. They told the story to the locals, only to be met with grim expressions. "That church burned down 50 years ago," one old man explained. "It was full of people at the time. No one made it out alive. They say the spirits linger, and every now and then, there are stories that someone finds a hitchhiker that says they're going back to where it ended."